Yo, people, welcome back to another spontaneous episode. Absolute spontaneous episode of Carnage on GrizzCon TV. And you know what? I was messaging Evan. I was like, Ev, we've got so much to talk about, man, tonight. We really should set up a little show. And he was like, yeah, like everyone knows Evan's like man of very few words, but when he speaks really wisely. He wasn't giving me any response per se, like positive or negative. So I just set up a stream and I thought, look, we gotta talk Potter, we gotta talk Suarez, we gotta talk Elliot. And you know what? We managed to set up a stream, Evan, and look at the caliber of guests we managed to get on. It's amazing, huh?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this many people, but definitely the more is the merrier when there's so many things to talk about, definitely.
Absolutely. First, we obviously got Ohms back in the building. How you doing, my friend? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Chelsea getting themselves into a top four battle instead of a title race, so that's good from a Liverpool perspective. Harvey Elliott's back. The new training kit looks good, and Gerard's getting the boys back together. It seems
Exactly.
So,
And that's what we thought. We get Ohms for the Liverpool point of view. But you know what? I have to. I mean, obviously, I'm thanking Ohms, of course, but I've got to thank Maz and Jam for coming on at such short notice and talk about Brighton and Chelsea. Maz, Jam, you're absolute legends.
No, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to come on here, mate. And you always make us feel so special, you know. So it's
No,
it's
because
always
you
nice to come
are.
in,
It's not. I don't make you. You are, my brother.
no, I
You
appreciate
are.
it, man. No,
And
it's
Jam's
just
got
a good night.
and Jams is like going through hell last few weeks, but he's still got the best smile. I keep saying it. He's got the best smile on social media, so I have to get Jam back.
Well, look, thank you for the WWE intros and that, but you say I've got the best smile. You four are smiling way more than me tonight. Do you know what I mean? It's peak.
we're gonna keep smiling.
Do you know what?
It's
It's look. We're gonna start off with we have to because we've just witnessed. I said it. Look, we've just witnessed Potter ball again, and me, Evan, we continuously talk up this coach. Amaz, I'm gonna come to you, man.
Yeah.
How did you feel at the start of the game? Did you feel confident going into this game? They're coming off a rocky spell. You outplayed them in that Stamford Bridge. What, literally a couple of weeks back?
Couple of weeks back, yeah. When
How did you feel, man?
Yeah, no, like I know, I'm not just saying this. I genuinely went into the game actually feeling good because, like, usually playing against Chelsea, I think the first time we scored at Stamford Bridge was the last time we played them. So when we got that Welbeck equaliser, and then we've never beaten Chelsea. So that's still in the Premier League. Sorry, so that's still yet to be, sort of our curse to be broken. But going into the game tonight, I was genuinely I was confident. And first half, second half, I thought, without all due respect to the Chelsea fans out there, we were dominated. I thought we were a better team, sort of full 90 minutes, more than deserved the point. I thought even 3 points would have been more than fair. Lukaku getting bullied by Dan Burn was a sight to see. That's always fun to see. Webdini, as we call him, Adam Webster.
What'd you call him?
Webdini.
I rate that.
Very good.
Webdini. He was colossal at the back as well. It's just, do you know what we need? As you can probably, with anyone who eyes that watches football can see, just a clinical striker away from being a consistent top 8 team in the Premier League. I know obviously we're 9th at the moment, but with a clinical striker, I think we can definitely be a top side. We've Graham Potter at the helm, obviously, as you said, Potter ball all the way. If we lose him, then it's a big problem. But with Potter at the helm and the way we're playing, the system we've got is, we're looking good, man.
Ev, do you want to? I know me and you both are massive fans, and we regularly talk about it. But is there anything that you want to ask Maz differently, like about this guy, this coach? And I'm not overstating the importance that he has. Obviously, he plays in this whole team. But I watched them and I can't help enjoying watching them every time I see them play, right, Ev?
Yeah, I mean they look like a top team without top players, respectfully, just in the way they're set up.
Yes.
I mean, you could just imagine, if you added a few more players of like Yves Bissouma's quality around him, they could easily be pushing for sort of a top 8, top 6 spot consistently, and they still might. They might end up with one this season. I guess we're going to find out. My main question to sort of the Brighton fan base would be, and all due respect, but if Graham Potter were to be poached away by a bigger team, what sort of setup should he be looking to walk into? Where would he fit in? Because that's sort of the elephant in the room around every Graham Potter discussion I see on the internet.
What, as in what club do I see him fitting in at?
Yeah, if you were to get poached away.
That's a tough one, Well, I suppose I know he's been heavily linked with Everton. I don't know. I don't know how we do there. I just feel like they're all just a bit of a shambles. No matter, it's just a bit of a poison chalice for me. I feel like anyone who would go in there just wouldn't succeed. I'm just trying to think what other club. Do you know what? I could see him maybe at a West Ham kind of a West Ham size club, like on the up at the moment. They're sort of changing paths, still not got the ownership. I feel like I don't know. I'd rather talk about like who could come in and replace him if he were to leave, rather than sort of who he'd go to. Because I'll be honest, I don't know the answer to your question. Is I don't know where I could really see him, just because I'm so used to seeing him at my club. It would just be weird to sort of imagine him elsewhere. Maybe it's a better question for the other panel. I don't know.
I have a question on that, if I may, Grizz.
Of course.
If Potter was to stay at Brighton, how like for say the next 5-6 years at least, how far do you think like he can take them? Because like Evan said, they're playing like a top team without the top players. Like I tweeted it today. I said like if you stuck a world-class striker in that team, they'd score like 25-30 goals a season. The amount of chances Brighton create. I've seen Brighton, like every time I've seen Brighton, I remember they played Arsenal at the start of the season, absolutely dominate Arsenal. And they seem to get onto a football pitch. They don't have an inferiority complex or anything, and they just dominate anyone who they play. I think the only two teams at the moment that have played them and sort of had control of the game over them are Man City and Liverpool. And like that was Chelsea they're playing. Chelsea won the Champions League.
I would argue about the Liverpool part when we drew 2-2, but Man City.
I would agree with Maz there.
Yeah,
I would agree. I think second half you absolutely took control. First half we could have been out of sight in the first half.
Yeah, of course.
But I tweeted it. I said dominated Liverpool at Anfield. This coach has literally dominated Liverpool at Anfield and Chelsea home and away. Yeah. This guy needs to be spoken up.
No, definitely. Well, to answer your question as well, like I think it would be, like we against Man City, we got absolutely torn apart. That was just a no contest. But apart from that, we go into every game just full of confidence. And funny you should ask the question, because we actually tweeted today, going like, how far can Potter take us? Like, what is a realistic objective for Graham Potter? And I suppose that's what everyone's asking, is like, what can he actually achieve at Brighton & Hove Albion? And again, with all due respect to our club, it's like, what is a success in our club? Is it just consistently getting top 10? Is it qualifying for Europa League? Like, it's sort of what is your idea of success, I suppose. But me personally, I would like a dream would be to qualify for Europe. That would be the dream. If he could do that, I think that would be huge. Europa League, even Conference League, like to qualify for the Conference League. Again, with all due respect to anyone who's in that, Spurs, it would be a great achievement for us just to qualify for Europe. But even like a League Cup, maybe even just a trophy would be huge.
A final, a day at Wembley, Brighton.
Exactly.
We're talking about Brighton. I think we're losing the fact that we're talking about Brighton now. I'm not saying that in a derogatory or condescending tone. I mean it. Like, this is little old Brighton. He's doing such a wonderful job, and
where we've come from, sort of in the last 3 or 4 years.
You know what I was thinking as you guys were, as Evan asked that question, and he always asks the real tough questions. I was thinking, Villa would have been, if Stevie G didn't get that, obviously, I think that would have been a project that might have.
I think you took the words out of my mouth, Grizz. I was going to say pretty much the exact same thing, because apparently Villa have a ton of money, apparently. And I guess, with Potter, you would want to back him financially rather than just bring him in and go for the water to wine approach. But But yeah, I think Potter needs to be talked about for how he develops players as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Basuma has gone from a player that would occasionally catch the eye to someone that any team in the league would take in a heartbeat.
How much
Cucurella-
was he, Maz?
Basuma, he was 14 million, I believe, from France. I think.
How much?
14
4-0.
million, I believe.
Oh,
14.
1-4.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to say 14 million.
Yeah, we would have heard about him if before if
Yeah,
it was 40 million, but
yeah, no, I'm
yeah,
pretty sure it's about that.
yeah.
quality player.
I like Cucurella as well.
He's incredible. Yeah,
baller. If he hadn't just signed for Brighton, I think he would sort of be the answer to Chelsea's problems at left wing back.
Can you imagine? Don't get Jam started even more. We're coming to him very soon. We're coming to him.
I'm already getting wound up by this. Slowly.
Hey, adding Chelsea, letting go of Tariq Lamptey, like it's just adding.
It was him as well. Yeah,
Holmes weighing in there. Holmes is weighing in there.
I'm just catching blows left, right, and centre. You know what I mean?
But you mentioned all these players though. It's funny. Like today, even I looked at that starting 11. I thought, like, I messaged my guys at work. I messaged them going, "Boys, lump on Chelsea." Like our starting 11, in my eyes, was poor because we had Gross.
So many players missing.
Yeah, we had Gross, Alzate at the pivot. We were obviously Trossard and Mope on the bench. Of course, we had Cucurella and Lamptey starting, but it was still a weakened side, so to speak. And obviously, Basuma at AFCON, we had some key players, not even in the starting 11, and we drew against Chelsea. So, champions of Europe, they were singing to a little old Brighton. So, it's a funny old game, isn't it?
Where was that? Yeah. Where was that guy who scored that wonderful goal? I can't pronounce it.
Mwepu, yeah. So he's injured at the moment.
Okay, he's injured as well. Because how impressive was he, Evan? We were really impressed with him at Anfield.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how he sort of grabbed the game. Like you said, Grizz, they owned the second half. You could easily make a case that Liverpool were lucky to escape with a point in their own backyard. But yeah, Brighton are just a top team. I have nothing but great things to say about them. And, I'm sure most of the Brighton fan base would agree the next step is European qualification of some kind. Anything would be a huge achievement for that club. Sort of maybe get them a bit of a continental status thing, a reputation growing, if you will. I think being able to attract someone like Cucurella, who is on the radar of a lot of other top teams, I think that is a coup in its own.
Yeah.
But players want to play in Europe in some way, shape, or form. And once you start, but Potter, to his credit, seems to be capable of building a top system and developing players into what seem to be top-ish players. You know what I mean? So some managers can only do one or the other, and that's the reputation. Yeah. But for me, what makes Potter so impressive is that he seems capable of doing both.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. Transfer wise, we're dipping into the unknowns, so to speak. So, for example, I don't know if you guys have heard of Moises Caicedo, who we signed from South America last year. He's a Ecuadorian or Venezuelan central midfielder. Yeah, and he's just
manager legend.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So, like, for example, like players of that ilk we've been signing who are just like on the cheap, basically next to nothing, getting them, and Potter's just been developing them. So I think that's our recruitment has been amazing, and our infrastructure at the club is second to none. We've got Ashworth, who's been linked with, I think, Newcastle. Newcastle want him sort of director level. We've got Paul Barber, who's just incredible business minded, maybe not so in touch with the fans. And then obviously we've got Tony Bloom at the top, who, he's a poker player by trade. So that sort of says it all. And he's an incredible chairman. He goes to away games, he's in with the away fans at away games. Like, he's just a top chairman. And so just the whole infrastructure that we've got at Brighton now is just very exciting. If we can keep that, that nucleus of that structure, I think the sky's the limit for us. And we should finally get that win against Chelsea when we play you next. Hopefully.
Yeah, look, Holmes said, look, if they had a striker, and I think it's fairly obvious, if they had a striker, then it would make the world of difference. Chelsea invested in a striker this summer that everyone thought was going to make a world of a difference. Chelsea invested 100 million, near enough, right, on a striker.
Correct.
Jam, take the floor. What's the What's the mood amongst the fan base? I think I know, but I still got to ask the question. Evan's smiling there, but I think I know because I saw about 4 spaces on the top of my timeline with each about 2,000 people, and some of the titles of the spaces were mad. Talk to me, bro. What's the state of play right now?
In one word, Chernobyl. Like it's getting there. It's there. Actually, it's there. It's there. I mean,
No.
one win in no. 1 win in 5 games. Like it's starting to get peak, and like these guys behind us, they're catching us up. They're as inconsistent as us, but they're still catching us. That says everything you need to know about our situation right now. And look, I mean, you said Lukaku, man. I mean, I'm starting to get agendas against bald people in football. I really am, because Lukaku, I fell for it, and he did that interview. Maybe he had the best intentions, who knows? But it's now coming back to bite him in the ass. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's turned up the difficulty to ultimate level, like FIFA. It's every single bad trampoline touch this guy has, we're onto him. We're catching the ball and saying, what is this? Do you know what I mean? Like, tonight, I kind of blame him. I kind of don't, because I don't think the service is good. I don't think it's good enough to him. Like, we're trying to play balls in the air to him when he's against Dan Burn, who was just dominating him, just going like this. He doesn't even need to jump. He's that tall. He's like 7'9". Do you know what I mean? He can't even Lukaku can't compete with that. But when we played the ball into his chest and his feet, he actually did all right tonight. So, yeah, partly to blame is the service. But this guy, I don't think his head's in it. He needs to be dropped. And not dropped to not to teach him a lesson, but actually for his own good, to let him just build himself back to it. Bring him off the bench. Maybe he gets a goal and then he builds off that. Do you know what I mean? When a player doesn't perform well, forget the price tag. They're not performing well. They're actually detrimental to the team. So play someone else. That's how I see it right now. I don't think it's got... Do you know what I mean? Okay, you could argue that with Chelsea, there's politics involved with the board. Oh, yeah, we spent that much money.
But yeah.
You can argue that. Of course, that's the problem. But supposedly they backed Tuchel for dropping him against you guys, against Liverpool. So I still think that, considering we haven't picked up a win since then in the league, they will still have to back him because he started every game since then. Do you know what I mean?
It's who do you start, though? Like, does Werner come in for Lukaku? He's not the same kind of play. Like, who have you got to start up front?
Turbo.
Well, look, do you know what? You guys just take your shots at me tonight. This is it. I mean, the argument is obviously Lukaku, his style of play, whether this is us trying to get him to play this way or him playing this way and not adapting, he's very stationary. So he doesn't really do his kind of movement thing that he does for like Belgium or he did for Inter Milan. Maybe he doesn't get the same freedom. Who knows? But when Kai Havertz comes into the team, or even Timo Werner up front, then what happens is it becomes very fluid, and then it becomes a lot harder for teams to mark, and it kind of suits our game a little bit more. At least recently, that is. So the whole argument was that, okay, Lukaku got injured. He got an ankle injury. He was out for like 6 weeks, and then he got COVID, and he just didn't have that fitness. The whole thing was that even before that, he was still trying to adapt to us, and we were still trying to adapt to him. Because all we try and do when he's on the pitch is just go long ball. And like, yeah, he can pin a player, but that's not all he can do. So I do feel a little bit for him, but I still think there's more to... He needs to perform better. And I think right now we are better with Havertz up front. If I was going to pick a player, I'd say Havertz because of that fluidity.
Do you know what I was gonna come to? I don't know if Evan was gonna ask the same question because you was about to ask a question, but I'm quicker. I got in there quicker, Evan. So shame. You know, in those 6 games that Lukaku was injured or out for, was it 6 games?
Something like that. I don't know off the top of my head. But
what was your record like in those 6 games? Can you remember?
we did very well.
I know you did very well. I'm a cheeky cunt.
Yeah.
So, now, at the time, and I got pelters for it, and I said it from the start of the season, and it's not going to be the Grizz gloating show. I'm gonna let you guys.
You say that?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm gonna try not to, but there is something that I need to get off my chest, possibly, and I'm about to. But I said it would be interesting to see Lukaku, how he's integrated into tactical Tommy's style of play. Now, I think we've spoke about it. I think me and Evan have spoken about it as well in a couple of shows. But it's those 6 games that you played in. I found some of those games, I think you scored 6-7 against Norwich or something.
Yeah.
Admittedly, it was Norwich. Admittedly, it was 10 men. But I always spoke about the movement of Havertz, Werner, Pulisic, Mount. These guys, none of them are deadly finishers, is what's the problem. But I believe in their movement, and I believe Tuchel probably believes in their movement as well. Do you think there's any pressure from the board? And we know one man rules the roost there, really. Like when he buys you a toy and he's not seeing that toy being used, he gets angry. Is there any sign of pressure from the people above that's making him play Lukaku, or do you believe Tuchel believes in the project and Lukaku?
I think Tuchel was happy with him as a purchase. So I'm just going to say that now. I do think he was happy with him. Okay, albeit maybe we're going for Erling Haaland, first of all. But in terms of what we needed, we had a vacancy. He can fit that vacancy based on what he did that season before. Okay, now for him to adapt to us, that's a different story. It hasn't really happened. Even though at the start of the season he scored goals, I could see there were times where it was a bit like, we're quite one-dimensional here.
Yeah.
And like times that we struggled, I was looking at that as one of the primary causes. Do you know what I mean? Now, I think there is naturally a pressure there, and it doesn't need to be said that there's a pressure there for it to work. The guy costs £100 million. You look at the record that we've got with managers. You look at Roman Abramovich. Of course, there's pressure there, and he knows it. Now, funnily enough, on top of that, I think that Tuchel's actually big enough to drop in when he needs to drop in. Having said that, I'm still questioning why he's played him in the last few games and we've still dropped points. It's a bit weird. I'm in a bit of a weird place about it right now. I mean, if he starts against Tottenham, I'm going to question it. I think Lukaku is better in a 2 up front. I really do. I really do, because they're 2 games that I've seen him play 2 up front recently. And actually, funnily enough, I think they were both against Tottenham, but he did quite well there. He did quite well in both games. And it almost took a bit of the pressure off him because we didn't just have to use him as a focal point. So I think there's a bit of Tuchel that wants him to play himself into form because he knows what he can do. Like we all know what he can do when he's on form. We haven't seen it with Chelsea yet. And I think he's been unlucky with the injury and COVID, as I said. But it's getting to the point now where we're starting to drop points. We're all questioning it. It'll be interesting to see what Tuchel does in the next game. It really will. So I think we're playing Tottenham on Sunday. That's a big game for us. We need to win that game if we're really going to look comfortably at the top 4. Because if we don't win that game, then there's a problem. And if he starts Lukaku, then we've got a problem there. I think, I said Chernobyl. It might be worse than that. It might be, what's it called? The Tsar Bomba or whatever. Like, it's going to be peak.
I tell you what, you said Lukaku, performance-wise. I remember that was it. The first game against Arsenal this season. He absolutely bullied who was it?
Pablo Mari, though, man. Pablo Mari.
Pablo Mari and Ben
who's
White.
since gone to Udinese.
I think so. Udinese, yeah. But still, he looked like, I know it's his first game, and yes, it was Pablo Mari tax and stuff, but he looked incredible that game. So yeah, I mean, if he can replicate that, I'm sure you guys will have no problem.
Is it fair to say? I have a quick question. Is it fair to say Diego Costa has been the only Chelsea striker in the last 10 years to sort of make the grade? Because so much is said about the Chelsea striker curse, right? And I just, from a Chelsea fan, I want you to know if you think that's blown out of proportion or not.
No, not at all. It's a great point you raised there. I mean, funnily enough, obviously I'm in a few Chelsea group chats on Twitter and that, and everyone said the same. Said we miss Drogba, we miss Costa. Like, these are guys that will come in. It doesn't matter what the circumstances; they're going to make their imprint on the game. Lukaku, unfortunately, he's just got this thing where he can ghost, and I think it's because he sulks. You can see him sulking on the pitch. You would have seen the game tonight, like him and Ziyech. Ziyech misplaced a pass by this much.
Can you explain that? What's going on there? We all saw that.
Yeah, he didn't even celebrate, did he? When he scored.
Well, I think there's a bit of nervousness going on in the squad because we're dropping points. I mean, that would happen to anyone. You're not going to be happy. I think when Ziyech scored, he was almost surprised that it went in. That's why he was like we've all had it where you kind of score a goal you're not supposed to. And you're a bit like, oh, Okay, like he didn't smile at all. He actually looked annoyed. So I think he's kind of embarrassed. Like we were getting processed by Brighton at that time. At that time, we did not deserve to take the lead. So I think everyone was just a bit like, shit. Okay, like yeah, well done. It's gone in the back of the net. Cool. Now you might say that's me downplaying it. We just have to see. We need more evidence of anything else going on. Do you know what I mean? Now the thing between Ziyech and Lukaku, Lukaku's got this habit, and I noticed it as soon as he left Chelsea and he started playing regular games. He will complain at anyone if he feels that the ball was slightly overhit or whatever it was, if it's a bad ball in his mind. Most of the time it's not, and he will still complain. I've noticed this about him. Ziyech played that ball, and it was probably overhit by that much. It's one of those things where you would go, oh, yeah, look, next time, just to my feet. Cool. Thanks for the ball. Do you know what I mean? He kept going on and on and on and on about it. Just like, come on, man, move on. This guy sulks. This is why this interview is as detrimental as it actually has been because he's letting it be. Do you know what I mean? So there was a fallout that he didn't expect, believe it or not. He did not expect this fallout. So it's happened and he's still sulking about that in my head, which is why he has to be dropped for a little while. He needs to get that off his chest and just come back and be like carefree. Do you know what I mean?
Chelsea are a funny club because since Abramovich has taken over, like it almost feels, you know how clubs have like DNAs. You talk about the Liverpool way, the United way. Chelsea, it seems the Chelsea way is just constant chaos. Like since Abramovich has come in, you've won so many trophies, but you've never sort of had like stability in like a manager, in like a team. You had a core of players in the likes of Terry, Lampard, Cech, but like from the top downwards, it just seems so chaotic. Like at one stage you can be champions of Europe, next season you're not making top four. How? Because we know how Abramovich acts. How worried are you? Not worried, but like how concerned are you that sooner rather than later this is gonna
explode again? Yeah,
come back onto Tuchel, because it seems like they've backed Tuchel, but you know, you drop a few more points, you get into, we know how ruthless Abramovich can be. How safe do you feel Tuchel is right now, and how safe he could be by the end of the season?
See, that's a great question, and you look at Maz, you look at Brighton there, yeah. Look at what they've got going on with Potter. Like, big up Brighton for tonight, by the way. I haven't said it yet, but fair play, great football team. But that takes a while to build up. It takes a while to get to that level. Manager getting the players they want over a few years. Now, where I am right now is I am worried because this is a massive season. We're about to go to the Club World Cup. We've played more games than anyone else around us other than Liverpool and City, I think. These guys are all going to be catching us up while we're playing. As you can imagine, we'll be away at the Club World Cup. So the pressure is going to start to build up. Then you add the Champions League to that. You add the FA Cup to that. You add the League Cup final to that. It's getting to a pivotal point where it's very vital that we do get some results in this. And we're on a bad vein of form right now. So I am worried because a lot of Chelsea fans really, really like Tuchel. You know, he's the most balanced guy we've had for a while. He's got the experience. He knows how to manage big names. And he's got us success. And he comes across really well. Not too energetic, but just balanced. Do you know what I mean? There isn't really a bad thing I can say about this guy right now. Nobody wants to lose him. We know what could happen. We know what time it could be very soon. So all of us are very worried about what could come. Now, luckily enough, I think we've got a good run of fixtures coming up in the Premier League anyway, which I would expect us to start picking up points and have a good streak, a bit similar to the one we had in like October, November, where we just won a number of games in a row. But it's worrying, of course. Your job's never safe with Abramovich. One more stupid interview like this from Mr. Baldy, bowling goalie Lukaku over there, you know, like then that could just throw us into chaos again, and we've got a problem. Do you know what I mean? So I am very worried, man. Like, I'll be honest.
Sorry, just quickly, can I just say, I love the fact that, like, you know, Chelsea, your big clubs, like, I would love to be a Champions League winner or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, my club's in chaos. It's
I was
the end
just
of the
going to
world.
ask you that.
I was like,
I would swap. No, but this is what I was going to ask. On the back of Ohms' question, I was going to say, right? I was going to say, as fans, would we? do we want sort of stability and sort of the structure that you spoke about, and everything seems to be so solid, foundations, everything, or do we care? Like, would we care? Would you care if you was a Chelsea fan? There's chaotic scenes, fights, arguments, the turnover of managers, players, but you win a Champions League you win a league every 2-3 years. You win a Champions League every 5 years. You win a domestic trophy every 2 years. You know, but it's chaos. Do you care?
No, it's a great question. And I don't know, you know, like it's a funny one because of course,
isn't it?
I would love anything more than Brighton and Hove Albion Football Club to win a huge, like, any trophy. I'll be honest, like the best we've come is a FA Cup replay back in the 70s, I think it was, against Man United. So that's the closest we've ever come to winning a. Oh, and then we got robbed against Man City as well in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. So anyway, enough of that. Going back to your question. I would love it, but at the same time, it has a bit of spice in it. Like, you know, one day you don't know what's going to come. You know, are we going to have a strop from Mopé? Is he going to, you know, throw his hat in the ring and do Lukaku? But no,
he does that anyway. Actually, he's a mad back of him.
He's a shit house. I love it. But no, to answer your question, it's a real tough one because it is great to have the stability and, you know, building for the future, because that's what we're doing right now. You know, if Potter stays, I feel like our next sort of 5 years is looking very, very promising. Like stability, you know, you're going to have consistent Premier League football. You don't have to worry about relegation. You know, as a Brighton fan, this is, and then potentially looking forward to Europe. So I suppose it's just, you know, the way we've been conditioned as Brighton fans, we're just sort of happy to be here in a Premier League and sort of, you know, going to Europe would be the dream. Whereas I feel like for a Chelsea fan, it's different. You've got different expectations. You've grown up with success. You know, you've grown up with the Lampard era, the Terry era, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. The Decos, you know, all those ballers, you know, back in the early days. And then, it's a completely different sort of
outlook,
I suppose. So it's a tough one. But Haaland, if we can sign Haaland,
this is the chat of the night so far. Like, you know, Evan, I was going to get your opinion on the two club situations in terms of, is Potter destined? And look, don't feel obliged to sort of, you know, worry about Maz being on our show. Like, if Potter's to leave, he has to leave. Like, Maz has to hear it.
I'm a realist. I know. I'm a realist. I know his time's gonna come up at some point. You know, I'm not. I feel like he's too good to remain at Brighton for the rest of his career. I'm not stupid. He's a top class manager. I feel like, you know, one of the best in the Premier League. So I know his time's coming, but I just hope it's not. I feel like he's nowhere near finished with the project that he's built. But sorry, carry on.
Get him in England. England.
Oh, no. Save him from
talk about a waste of talent.
He'll get ruined.
I want some pearls of wisdom from you for Brighton and Chelsea, because I know they've got to leave in a bit. So 2 pearls of wisdom. Potter, he's not going to stay there much longer, despite, you know, the dream to stay there. And is Lukaku the main problem, or is there other issues at Chelsea? I know we've sort of focused on only Lukaku. Just some pearls of wisdom on that, brother.
You know, I don't think Potter will stay at Brighton without some sort of dramatic change in the way their ownership operates the club. And I just and that's a fancy way of me saying, unless they give him a lot more money, I don't see how he stays at Brighton longer than another few years. I do think there is a higher calling coming for Graham Potter sooner rather than later. Lukaku is definitely not the main problem at Chelsea. There's something sick in the culture there. You guys were just touching on it a few minutes ago. Would you rather have sort of that sporadic success periodically, like you said, Grizz, over the course of a few years, but it's just like managers coming and going, players coming and going? That, you know, it's weird because it's so chaotic and it's so, for lack of a better word, fucked up. But at the same time, with who you have at the top of the club, it's ultimately sustainable. It's not pretty, but it's sustainable. You said it. I mean, like with the exception of City, they've owned the last decade domestically in England. So it's just it's so weird. And for me, that's what makes Chelsea the most dangerous of the ultra rich clubs, because what can I say as a rival fan when they're 250 million pounds in debt and their owner writes a check and it goes away like that? What am I supposed to do? Like, where are the flowers for the other clubs who had to work day and night to avoid such financial pitfalls, and then theirs can just go away like that? So for me, that's what makes Chelsea dangerous. I do think that reckless push and pull culture, if you will, it results in a really fractured fan base. And correct me if I'm wrong, but every fan base has infighting and tribalism within the fan base. It's human, it's human heart. But I have never seen more infighting in a fan base than Chelsea's. It is just absolutely insane. Half their club think Jorginho should have won the Ballon d'Or, and then the other half of their club's fans think he should be playing for fucking Girona in the Italian second tier. Like it's actually insane. So that's what I think that culture creates from like a fans level, but just in terms of like a footballing thing, it's not pretty. And you asked Maz what he would rather have. From a Liverpool fan's perspective, I can say that through rain or shine, there is a comfort in knowing who you are. Does that feel fair to say, Grizz? Does that feel about right? Is that also how you guys kind of gauge it? There is sort of comfort knowing this is Klopp's team, this is how we play, this is our recruitment philosophy, these are the hills we're going to die on. I take a bit of comfort in that, even when we're not doing too well.
Yeah, I do feel that comfort. But that's also how our club's sort of been built up to have someone like Klopp. Our best periods as a club have always come under that sort of stability, that sort of succession, that plan in place. Whereas you say Chelsea are dangerous because one of the financial ability they have, but I also know Chelsea fans who sort of embrace that chaos and just say, we're Chelsea, we can win the Champions League, but equally we've never Chelsea fans of my generation, they've never really had loyalty to say a manager. I think the closest they came to was Mourinho, and then that went. So I just it's hard to say how it works, but it works. It works for Chelsea. Yeah. They it's just they're built to be this entity that is just reckless, but successfully reckless.
There's a method to the madness. I think that's a good way of putting it. There's a method to the madness somehow.
Do you know what though? I've got to say, from our perspective, it's tiring. It is tiring though, because you're going from this emotion. We just won the Champions League, and now look at us. We're still all right, but it almost feels like we're scared of what could come. Do you know what I mean? We've got a manager that we really like right now, and we want this guy to stay, because it's a gamble going out there to try and get somebody else to replace this guy, because we might not like him. Before this, who did we have? We had Lampard. Obviously, we liked him. But then again, like you mentioned, Evan, the fan base is fractured. Some people were not on him, and some people were with him till he died. Do you know what I mean? It was like that. Before that was even worse with Sarri. My God. That's where it all started, really. Man,
if you were to ever give someone time, it would have been Lampard. And look, if you can't give Lampard time, who are you going to give time? So I'd say if I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm saying screw it. If it doesn't work out for Tuchel, we'll get in whoever. And
Lampard was a fraud, man. As a manager, he's a fraud. Yeah, I'm not having it.
Look, Lampard wasn't on Tuchel's level. Let's put it that way. I can't say that, but look, Lampard wasn't on Tuchel's level. So we've got a guy that is really promising right now. We're begging that the board backs this man. We got some freak injuries to two of our best players, Reece James and Ben Chilwell. We're in a transfer window at the moment. Who the hell are we getting in? We're getting Kennedy back from his loan. Do you know what I mean? We kind of need a little bit better than this to back him, to ensure that this man doesn't lose his job, because we want him to get the full summer transfer window and just he's had that, but a full summer transfer window and a full preseason, because I think it's very easy to forget how valuable a preseason is to a new manager. Because you remember last season we had the Euros. It was different. Euros, COVID, all of that. It was up and down. Like it was manic. This man's had to manage a situation with COVID too. I've got the utmost respect for him, and I really hope he makes it to summer so we can see what next season brings. Because I feel like we could be even more dangerous than this season. And if we didn't get unlucky with injuries, I think we'd be doing a lot better anyway. But that's another thing.
Do you feel it's unlucky that the first scenario and whether the board have to back Tuchel versus him or something else is Tuchel versus your new shiny 115 million pound signing? Because if don't you feel that if it was Tuchel versus a lesser player or a different circumstance, it would just be snap of the fingers, we're backing this guy we just hired. But because it's a guy who costs such a sum of money and he's, and it's a high profile, all that, like, is that just bad luck? Like, is that what's creating the buzz?
Well, look, money makes the world go round, right? So, unfortunately, if you spend that much money, you're going to want to see results. You are, whoever you are. Like, let's not kid ourselves and just say it's Abramovich. If you spend £100 million, you're going to want to see results. Let's be honest. Now, the thing with Abramovich is that he's probably going to go, okay, do you know what? You want this guy. He costs this much. No worries. I'll write out the check now. But you better perform. That's the caveat. Do you know what I mean? It's, okay, I'll get him, but, I can cancel your contract at any time. This is the thing. So, I think it's just at the point where Abramovich has been through it a lot of times where player power at Chelsea's been a problem, and they've obviously just dropped their thing and they're not playing for the manager anymore. They've just gone, do you know what? This isn't for us, and it's just caused a problem. And Abramovich has had to do what he's had to do a number of times. Now, he's obviously used to the signs, and you could argue that you've started to see a few signs of this happening again. So I'm very interested to see how we bounce back, hopefully, against Tottenham. We always beat them at Stamford Bridge anyway. I think they've beaten us once in 28 years. Now, I'm telling you now, if we don't win that game, there's a massive, massive, massive problem.
Wow.
There is a massive problem. I'll say it now. There's a massive problem.
Maz, I want to ask you, Jam was talking about sort of player power at Chelsea and handling personalities. And you can see, I personally thought Tuchel handled the Lukaku scenario very well. I thought he dealt with it brilliantly. The one thing that Potter is always levied at Potter is how would he handle big players, big personalities. Yeah. That is always levied at him, isn't it? How do you think he would cope? Because that's the only question mark most neutral fans would have in their heads and minds. Like, does he know how to handle big personalities? From what his time there, how do you think you must have an insight into what kind of character personality?
Yeah. So I think I mentioned this last time I was on, or basically I mentioned it before, but obviously we spoke about he's got a degree in is it social sciences, I believe, or something, human intelligence, one of those degrees. He's got that. I think he's got a master's in that.
I think I've got one as well, to be honest with you. So I just don't show off about it, like Holmes and his law masters that he's in the middle of. He spent half an hour telling us about his law masters. I didn't really want to know.
You asked.
I know, I'm joking.
What's the subject that Potter? You say it's social science?
I think it's like I think it's basically. Bear with me 2 seconds. I'll just confirm.
Oh, it's like sociology.
I've heard that before.
It's
something like that.
It's something about basically like dealing with humans, essentially.
I think that's
psychology.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, psychology.
Well,
yeah,
I think that's so fascinating to me, because one of my favorite quotes about football that's come out in the last few years is when Nagelsmann famously said, being a football manager is 70% social competence and 30% tactics. 70% of it is knowing how to talk to your employees and knowing how to effectively get the 30% of your job, that is tactics, onto the pitch. It's all about how you talk to people. And I can definitely see Jurgen Klopp fitting into that mold, because he's so likable as a manager. Obviously, rival fans don't seem to like him too much, obviously, but in terms of a guy running a football club, he definitely fits into that mold. And Graham Potter isn't the same bubbly personality, but if he's a guy who is like Klopp in the sense that he's really effective at just talking to his players and making them feel like they're 7 feet tall, then that's going to take him to the highest places in this game, honestly.
Yeah, 100%. And also as well, sorry, just to confirm, the degree he's got is social sciences, and he followed that up with a master's in leadership and emotional intelligence. So he's got a master's in in that.
Wow.
So there you go. Someone's just put it in the chat.
What is that? What the hell is that even?
It's nuts. So yeah, that's just one element. And then also as well, just going back to the sort of like, how does he handle things? So I know this isn't exactly player specific, but I don't know if you guys remember when we drew against Leeds, and there was a small pocket of fans that booed. And obviously, straight after the game, he heard it during the game, and then after the game, he had an interview basically saying, had a bit of a go at the fans. He had a bit of a jibe, and I feel like he's a character who's not scared to speak up when he needs to, and especially against his own fan base. So, for example, let's say the fan base was picking on a player, let's say Lukaku. I think he'd definitely defend him if he needed to be defended, but he'd say it how it is if he felt they were being out of line, very similar to what Tuchel did with Lukaku, and how he sort of defended him but then sort of didn't at the same time, and sort of Tony Raiola, he should basically not do interviews, which I thought was brilliant. But yeah, like I feel like he's definitely got the awareness of being able to handle these sort of big profile players. And we've had instances before where Mopé was left out the club, left out the team, Aaron Connolly, he left them all out of the team, and he came out publicly saying, look, I've left them out because of these reasons. And the final thing as well, he sends out a team every night out to make sure players don't go out clubbing and stuff. He has like a little scouts that make sure that they're not they're not getting up to no good. So yeah, I think
Brighton's quite a tempting night out, by the way.
Yes. I mean,
tell us more, Jam. Tell us more.
I don't blame the players.
I've had many nights down there. It's all right. It's decent. I don't blame him.
That's a great job. You get paid to go to a club.
Yeah, where do I have to apply to be part of Graham Potter's private CIA?
I mean, listen, I could put in a good word for you, mate. I'll see what I can do.
I can just picture myself in the unmarked van outside Neil Mopé's house saying, "Yeah, he's just gone to the bathroom again." Something to keep an eye
on. Not with your moustache, though. Not with your moustache.
Yeah, you need to get a better disguise. But no, like Aaron Connolly, for example, like he's just gone out on loan to Middlesbrough, but he had massive disciplinary issues because genuinely he was going out every night, like pretty much every other night. He was going to nightclubs, going out all the time, and he got dropped and barely got a game since he scored the brace against Spurs on his debut, and then sort of nothing really came of him because he just basically lost the plot, started going out and stuff. And Potter really laid down the hammer and was like, look, if you don't buck up your ideas and sort your shit out, basically, you're not going to play. And so I feel like he's definitely, again, sorry for the long-winded answer, but to answer your question, I feel like he definitely can handle situations with players. However, can he do it with the superstars? The Lukakus, the Grealishes. I'm just trying to think of big people that got in trouble. The Fodens, for example. I know they got in trouble recently. Grealish and him. Could he do it with them? Obviously, we don't have those kind of players, unfortunately. So I can't say. But within our structure of the club and the players that we've got, he's handled them brilliantly, and he can definitely lay down the law when he needs to.
What I'll just say quickly on that. Sorry, Grizz.
No,
what I'll say quickly on that. I can't remember what it's called, but I did sports science as a degree, and as a coach, you want to come in and you want to command that respect straight away. So you need to almost showcase what you've achieved. I don't know what it is about him. I feel like he would do it wherever he goes. I just feel like his style of football would just do it for him. He'll do the talking for him. So I reckon he'd be all right.
100%. Yeah.
Just to very quickly give my thought on something. I absolutely agree. Both of you. I don't know what Ohms and Evan think, but I genuinely think he's got that about him. I think he's got the aura. I think he knows the words, very much like Klopp. I think it's the makings of. I genuinely believe makings of a great coach, destined for the top. just as long as this sort of, I don't know, this stigma of English coaches. Do you know what I mean? Not being being frowned upon almost, you know?
I just want to sorry to interrupt, just quickly. I don't want a situation where he sort of does a Moyes. I know obviously Moyes was much more developed in his career, but when Moyes went to Man United, you saw the step up that he went obviously from Everton to Man United, and then he got battered. Like, as in, like, his record was actually not bad. When you look back in hindsight, his record wasn't actually too bad at United, but he just wasn't given a chance, and obviously ultimately got sacked, and now he's doing bits for West Ham. I'm not comparing them in terms of, you know, careers and where they are, etc. But I don't want a situation to happen where Potter goes up for a big job and then he doesn't get given the time, and then like, oh, he's actually not very good, because I think he is. You know, I think he needs to sort of go up to the middle station, not a top 4 team yet. I feel like he needs to go to a West Ham, an Everton, which I don't want to see, but you know, like just that in between those top clubs, just to again prove his next step and then go for that sort of high caliber job.
England.
I mean,
please, I keep saying this. No, give him England. He will be able to ball out with our attackers. I'm telling you. Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
Respectfully, I can't think of a greater way to waste a manager's talent than to send him to an international team. Never mind the English national team.
Just give him 8 years and then he can move on. That's it.
Yeah, just a short term of nearly a decade and then he's gone. Yeah, I don't know. Like I was gonna get to the Potter for England shouts. Like respectfully, because there are good international management positions available and there are good coaches who take those positions. Let's be honest, it's sort of the second-rate job these days. There are no Klopps or Guardiolas managing international teams, and if Graham Potter wants to be considered in the same breath or at least punch at the same weight, he's got to take a serious job. So to the people who are actually serious about Potter to England, like full on, I'm 100% serious. You should let this man, you know, prosper elsewhere, in my opinion.
There's two super chats that are aimed at Chelsea. That's good. So you're going to come to you anyway because they're aimed at you. Adam says, if you man don't want him, sack him so he can reunite with the Godfather Rolex Ralph. And Chelsea fans, that Champions of Europe song is dead now. Well, it's not, because they are still champions of Europe. So until they're champions of Europe, they will continue to sing the song.
Thank you, Chris.
Rahil says, appreciate the super chat. He says, how's no one talking about, and this is where we want Jam's opinion and say on things, how's no one talking about how Chelsea literally wasted 325 million on 5 attackers? That Mourinho bird needs investigating. She's very highly thought of and very highly praised during the summer, I believe.
Yeah, she was.
All over the timeline was, wow, this Mourinho, like she's the equivalent of the female James Bond almost.
I have a crush on Marina.
Okay, can you keep that for a separate show? Like that's a different. Like we don't need to know that. Like imagine Marina's watching. Like you earlier talking about stalking players with your moustache in an undercover van, and now you've got a crush. Like this ain't going too well. All right. So Jam, talk to us about what is she? She's the football director? What is she? No.
Do you know what? I don't actually know her job title.
Exact role.
It's director of football, something like that. It is something like that. But look, I respect what Marina's done. She's been at the club for a very long time, in a different role before that. And I don't think that the blame can solely come down to one person. I think it also comes down to our scouting. It's a whole thing.
Just one second. Maz has got to drop out, so I just want to thanks Maz again for joining us. We catch up real soon, my brother.
Thanks,
Maz.
Take care, man. See you soon.
Sorry, Jam.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I think it's kind of a wider issue. It's not just down to her. I don't really want people to just blame her, and I don't think the praise was just down to her either. Now, you say we've wasted £325 million on 5 attackers. 4 of those attackers are Champions League winners. So, just saying, innit? I mean, have we wasted that money, right? So what? Havertz, Werner, Ziyech, and
Lukaku must be.
No, well, 5 attackers. Lukaku,
Pulisic, is it?
Pulisic, yeah, it must be. Yeah. So, okay, 4 of them. 4 of them are Champions League winners. I mean, Okay, look, I understand that when you spend a lot of money, you expect instant results in a sense, and I think it's a bit sticky with Lukaku right now, but I also think it's too early to really judge their overall sort of outcome, because when you spend so much money on a player, usually you're going to have them for a number of years. So I look at Torres, for example, and look, I'm not saying this just to annoy you guys or anything, but we bought him for 50 million and everyone was saying flop, 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 flop. And then he had a pivotal part in us winning the Champions League for the first time. All of a sudden, the tune changed slightly, even though we know he could have done better for us and all that. He wasn't that great all the time. But you have to look at the longevity sometimes of the money that you spend. I think that's the part of the deal. So let's just say Lukaku is probably not going to happen. But if he spent 5 years at us, even if he doesn't for the rest of this season, even if he doesn't really contribute that much, but he does next season and the season after and the season after that, we've got our money's worth. So to call it right now and say that we've wasted that money, not really. And
Bit
saying
premature.
that, it's premature. And let's just say this: if we were to sell Pulisic this summer, not that I have an agenda on that, saying that I want that to happen. I'm not saying that, but if we did, we'll probably get the same money we bought him for. So. Or thereabouts. Okay, there or thereabouts. Then it's not really a waste of money in my eyes, but yeah.
If Pulisic had spent most of his Chelsea career healthy, I think you might have a case for that. But
That's a good point.
In a post-COVID market, and he hasn't exactly set the world on fire, I think it would be tough. The question I had, though, was who is the main identifier of talent at Chelsea? Because for some directors of football, their job is to do that, or it's to negotiate. Some directors of football do both, a la Michael Edwards. They do a bit of both. Who is in charge of identifying who Chelsea need? Like, who has the final say on that? Like, in a non-Tuchel position.
That's a bit of a hard one. I mean, we pulled in Czech to kind of help out with that. We've obviously got Marina that probably focuses more on the negotiations. The S's and the no's of the finances. It's quite a collective thing. It's hard to really pin it down to one person. I think a lot of people will actually criticize our scouts and just say we haven't really got the talent that we're really looking for in the last few years. But I don't think it helps when you haven't got a settled manager in place.
Yeah,
so you've got pros and cons. And now this is why another reason we want Tuchel to stay for a lot longer. One reason is that the loan rule has changed or will change from next season. So you know that Chelsea are loan army. We've got like 50 players out on loan. That's ending. That ends next summer, I believe it is. So all of a sudden, we're going to have to get rid of these guys. We're going to have to start selling these talents because all you can do is loan in 5 players or loan out 5 players, or a maximum of 10, I think it is, altogether. It's something like that.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. It's game over. So our structure is changing. Things are changing. Yeah. Now, this is, for me personally, this is why I want Tuchel to stay long-term, because I think he hopefully will bring in the most promising youth players, get them into the team, embed them into the first team, and we don't lose our talent. But when you keep changing managers, someone else might come in like Jose Mourinho, and he just wants
completely
to win.
Have different ideas.
So it's different, and I think it's very hard to pin the blame on one person or say this person's responsible for this. I think right now we're still trying to find our feet. Now, if we can keep Tuchel, then all of a sudden, I think the structure all kind of clears up a little bit, if that makes sense. But right now, it's a bit up in the air. I mean, I couldn't even answer the question straight, to be honest with you. It could be anyone.
The reason Chelsea are so dangerous, and I was going to allude to the super chat that was just on the screen. Yeah, I smile and have a bit of a laugh to see, potentially 300 plus million wasted, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I'm glad Liverpool buy better than that. But I can't laugh that long because it's Chelsea. If they had a £100 million problem last summer and they still have that problem next summer, guess what they're going to do to that problem again? They're going to throw another £100 million on it. That's just, it is what it is. That's neither a critique nor a praise. That's just the reality of the situation. And for me, that's why I can't dance on any Chelsea grave for too long, because they're never down too often. Like Grizz said, it's a perpetual cycle. They'll do 2 years out of serious contention, 2 years in, roughly that. And it's just, ongoing cycle.
I
Look,
think,
Jam,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I was just going to say, look, Jam, before we let you go, because I know you had to go as well, we're going to ask you, look, talking about sort of where you are now, what's the rest of the season look for you? Give us your opinion. Obviously, you don't speak for the whole Chelsea fan base. I don't think 20,000.
No. Let's
Yeah, there'd be 20,000 different opinions.
Let's put that pressure on him. He's speaking for the whole fan base.
All right, okay. Yeah, let's
Absolutely not this fan base. Absolutely not.
Where do you think your priorities lie now? Because Champions League, you got a very favourable draw.
Yeah.
You're in the League Cup final. You're still in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And it's a top 4 race. In effect, your season's pretty much on track, because I don't think you was expected to win the title, but challenge for the title. So that's the only one avenue that you're probably off track. The rest you're on track, right? So suddenly we've made your season look fairly rosy still. Is that how you feel as well?
Yeah, I think when you're trying to be objective about it and you pull yourself away and you look at the season as a whole and where we're up to and what we're in, still on track overall. In my opinion, we are. It kind of shows that maybe we're a bit more of a tournament team at the moment. So was this really a surprise with the league? How many world-class attackers do we have? As I said earlier, compared to Liverpool, compared to Man City, we can't really compete with you guys. You're going to run away with it in terms of that. So I'm not too annoyed with that. What will annoy me is if we're coming down to the last day of the season again and trying to get the top 4. Do you know what I mean? I don't need that 3 years in a row. Do you know what that does to you? Last season, when we were losing to Villa, getting absolutely pammed by them, and Harry Kane, I had to support Spurs of all teams against Leicester. Do you know what that did to me? I was so confused. I don't need that again. I know we won the Champions League eventually, but who knew we were going to do that when we were playing City in the final? I don't need that last-minute nonsense anymore. So as long as we can comfortably get the top 4, the Club World Cup, we must win that. We must.
What about that?
If anything goes wrong, there's a massive issue there. I'm telling you now. I'm a calm guy. I am. I genuinely am. But you'll see me on Twitter losing my shit. You will. I'm telling you that right now. We must win that cup. Must. League Cup. Okay. Look, it depends who we're playing. You can say that. If we're playing Arsenal, I think we should beat them. If we're playing you guys, then I think it's quite an even game. Who knows what will happen. But I do think we need a domestic cup. I think I would like that. Okay, that's me saying desirable, not essential, desirable. Club World Cup, essential. Domestic Cup, desirable. And then the Champions League, you can only go as far as you can go. I mean, I don't expect us to go and win that again. That would be insanity to expect that. It would be, because there's so many good... Real Madrid are better, Bayern Munich are there, PSG, who knows? You guys, Man City, mate, it's not that easy. So, yeah, what I'm saying, minimum Club World Cup. Okay. A domestic cup, comfortable top 4, and quarterfinals of the Champions League.
Well, there you go.
I'll take that.
Speaking from experience, and Grizz and Oms are going to back me up, don't take the champions of Brazil lightly, whoever they are. Because one thing I noticed about those teams, obviously they weren't on the level as the European and Premier League champions, but they played hard. They played like dogs. Like they for them, that is their biggest game ever. Like
we lost. We lost last time
to Sao Paulo, wasn't it?
Yeah, mate. We got absolutely touched. I'm still fuming from that. I will never forget it. I'll never forget it. I was watching it in my room. This was back in 2012. Watching it in my room, and guess what? Torres missed a chance, and I knew at that moment. I was just like, do you know what? I was just like, I know what time it is right now, and it was just peak 1-0 loss. Have that. I was fuming, and they were celebrating. Even teams that didn't support that team in Brazil were celebrating like everyone, like the whole country won the World Cup. I was so annoyed. I don't need to see that again. Hence why I said We must win this thing this time round.
It's amazing
Must.
hearing. It's amazing hearing Chelsea fans speaking up the World Club Cup now. You know, it's means so much now. Now that they're there, when we won it, it was like, oh, please don't count that as a trophy. But listen, that's the game, right? That's the game's the game. Jam,
Yeah.
I can't honestly wish you luck from the bottom of my heart. I genuinely can't. Right? But
It's
for
mutual, mate. It's mutual.
Exactly. But listen, we're gonna keep track of Chelsea because we're hoping to get you in here many times throughout the season. Really appreciate your time. We're gonna go on to some Liverpool chat, which you don't probably want to hear anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Too upbeat for me right now. Too upbeat.
But listen, you've been a legend as always, man. We're gonna catch up real soon, my brother. I appreciate your time, man.
James, nice
Thanks for
talking
having
to you.
me. Cheers,
Good,
lads.
mate.
Have a good one, yeah?
Talk soon.
Cool. Take
Nice
care.
one.
Bye.
Holmes, man. We spent way too much on Chelsea Brighton, but they had to be covered. The topics had to be covered, and we had
Yeah.
such wonderful guests on. Harvey Elliot is back training with the first team, man. Did you wake up thinking, oh man, I hope I see some Harvey Elliot training pics, man? This will make my day. The kid, the wonder boy, the star boy is back. And when you saw his pictures,
That was good, but the best thing about those training pictures was the new training kit.
oh yeah.
Have you seen it? It's amazing. It's amazing. Oh,
No, I always tell myself I'm gonna buy a training kit because it's not our first time having a cool
Yeah.
one. But I think I actually might pull the trigger on this one because this is a different quality. This is a different quality.
like we've had some good, but thank you, Nike. Like, please
Finally, yeah.
put it into the kits next. Well,
Well, it's funny because the rumored or the leaked the kit has come out, right? And there was like an outpouring of almost hatred, like, you know, like, what the fuck is Nike doing with us, treating us like this? Look at this basic kit. And then almost like it was calculated and planned, they put out this training kit and it's like, whoa, that is classy.
I'm really into the simplistic kits.
So
When it comes to design and literally anything, graphic design kits, paint on the wall, I like things that are simple and clean and easily distinguishable. And obviously Nike can throw enough money at something to make something simple still be of a high quality. So everyone keep your heads. I still think it's going to be okay.
I'm sort of the same ilk. The only potential issue I have with that is when we're with someone like Nike, I don't want our home kit to be of the same concept as other teams' home kits. So fine, keep it simple, but I don't want to see Chelsea's kit the exact same, just with a different
I hear that, and that is my big criticism of it. Because for me, it's like, okay, we're one of your top 5 clients. We need to get the unique big club
in the
treatment.
footballing world, for sure.
Yeah.
I understand why Roma's third kit is the same as Anderlecht's home kit, just with different colors. You know, like, I get why that has to happen, but we're fucking Liverpool. And I would, Real Madrid fans, Barcelona fans can make the same case. We are these clubs. We need something 100% unique.
Yeah.
I don't see why it can't happen.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But Holmes, Harvey Elliot, how
Yes.
excited are you? How glad are you that he's back?
I'm so excited. I was thinking about the Leeds game the other day, and just that performance was so complete, and the way he stepped into Ellen Road, and that was like their first biggest game back in the Premier League, and Klopp's faith in this guy is immense as well. Normally, Klopp likes to nurture these youngsters. He threw him in for Ellen Road away.
Some crazy games, some
Yeah.
crazy atmospheres, some crazy games.
Had him in for the Chelsea game. I think I don't know when he will be in Klopp's plans. He will obviously play quite a key role, I think, until the end of the season. I just don't know when Klopp's going to pull the trigger and say he's fully fit again. I think it will take. I know he's back in full training now, but he did have 4 months off, so he's probably going to need another couple weeks and a few bench appearances to really
imagine.
Get back into it. Because he is young and you have to get that balance. But he's fearless. He steps onto any pitch and he has that good arrogance about him that every young Scouser. He's not a Scouser, but like every good product we've had sort of from our youth.
Has that about him?
Yeah, Stevie G had it. Trent has it. I think Curtis Jones has it.
100%.
So
Cade Gordon as well. Cade Gordon thinks he's the shit, and I like it. I like that.
Was Cade Gordon like born and bred in our academy, or did we?
No, we got him from Derby.
Oh, okay.
But I just say it is part of the current crop of
Yeah.
teenagers in the team. I love that they all play with that swagger. It's not arrogance, but it's this. It's
the fearlessness. He always used the right word. The fearlessness.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, you guys talked about the training picks. We were treated to two incredible videos. Of course, the first one is Harvey under the lights. It's like night training, and he's walking through the fog, and he just turns to the camera and he says, "I'm back." And I love that. And then there's the other one at the start of the training session where all the 30 players are walking out onto the pitch, and Klopp wades through all of them, ignores all of them, and then just goes and gives Harvey a huge bear hug. And I genuinely think Klopp backs this kid to be one of the world's best one day. It's just the way he talks about him. Yeah.
Look, Romel says, sorry, Grizz, but I'm uncomfortable seeing all the Liverpool pods and social media heralding an 18-year-old kid in Harvey Elliot as the solution to our problems. Let's be realistic. Investment is needed. I don't believe any one of us on my shows tonight or ever has heralded Harvey Elliot as the solution to our problems. I don't think anyone, Ramel, has said investment isn't needed. Hope that helps.
Yeah. I think on that it's more we're just excited. He's an 18-year-old that
I don't know if you watched Redfellas last night or the night before.
No.
If you watched it last night, you would have watched it on replay. If you watched it live, you would have. We exactly said that when people were saying, "Why are you guys hyping up the youngsters?" If we're not going to be happy and excited, like Omji was about to say, I think. So I'll let you carry on. Sorry.
No, it's like any club in the world is excited by their youngsters. Look at Arsenal. Arsenal fans, if they were losing a few games with, like if they were losing to Man City with bunch of experienced people who didn't really care about the club, they'd be a lot more annoyed than they are now. Like they've got this great young core. It's the same with us. You want to see, any fan wants to see young products come through their club, and we know we need investment, but
if we're not going to be proud and excited about them and happy is the word.
Happy.
And Grizz, I said it on Redfellas. You know why we do it? Because it's fun. At the end of the day, it's fun to think of your youngsters this way. But at the same time, we exist in the realm of realism in the sense that we don't think Harvey Elliott is the solution to all of our problems right now. Like Grizz says, no one has said that. We're just happy. We're just over the moon with happiness that he's back because he has the right attitude. He has all the talent in the world, and he has every tool at his disposal to become a great player. That's why we're happy.
We're happy, 100% happy about Harvey Elliott making a return, much awaited, much heralded, much eagerly anticipated. Are we as equally as happy to the potential return of Luis Suarez, Holmes? Because there seems to be a lot of noise about Stevie G not only getting one forgotten son back, we've got the naughty, the evil son, the one that we kind of at times could have, should have disowned. Is he coming back to the Premier League? And how do you feel about Luis Suarez coming back?
Well, if he was to go to any other Premier League club, it'd be to join Gerrard and Coutinho at Villa. I think there's something to say about Gerrard, and we know Gerrard. He has that aura about him, that big personality. There's not many people, I think, in football have ever had a sort of aura and engagement about them. We were talking about Graham Potter earlier, about someone who can command the room as a manager. But equally on the other side, you have these personalities in football. Someone like Zidane at Real Madrid had that aura. Gerrard's got that same aura, and he's got that pull factor to get Suarez. It seems we'll see if it happens, but I'm excited for Suarez to come back. Look, they played Man City last game of the season. When we're level on points with a game to go.
Oh God, don't go there.
And Coutinho last
Don't
minute
go there.
plays the ball into Suarez.
Don't go there. That's just too.
We'll get 3 more medals to Suarez, Gerrard, and Coutinho.
That's too much to even think about. Look, Ravi says 165 likes. We can do much better, and you can. There's still over 300 of you mad fuckers in here. Get up the likes, man, before we wrap it up. And Evan, were you saying, man, Luis Suarez, man? Talk to me your feelings about this mad story coming up.
Oh God, it's weird. There's something wrong up there, isn't there? In the head of Luis Suarez, there's something not quite right. But I tweeted this out today. Like I didn't check Twitter for like 2.5, 3 hours this morning. I was just doing other stuff. And I checked Twitter, and apparently Steven Gerrard's getting the band back together. So I tweeted at Daniel Sturridge. I tagged him and I told him, make sure you leave your phone on, my friend, because you might be getting a call soon.
Oh shit! Can you imagine that? Because he only recently became like available free agent, etc., etc. Wow.
Yeah. So I saw, Dan, keep your phone on, man. Don't go to bed too quickly. You don't want to miss an important call. But listen, I have to give Suarez credit in the last couple of years for making I thought he did well to prove he was still a top player post Barcelona.
I agree.
So he's kind of tossed out of the moving car at Barcelona as they sort of crashed and burned. And he's a bit discarded despite everything he did for them. And then he goes and wins the league with Atletico Madrid. Ironically, that's exactly what Barcelona did to David Villa 10 years prior. They binned him off to Atletico, and then that team won the league. I thought that was funny. But yeah, Suarez in the Premier League. I mean, if this isn't confirmation that apparently Aston Villa have a ton of money, then I don't know what is. It's mind blowing. Not that he would cost a lot in terms of a transfer fee or a loan fee or whatever it is, but he's going to ask for a lot of money. He's going to ask for quite a bit of money, and I can't imagine how fun and chaotic the post Grealish era has been for Aston Villa fans. Here they are, they're buying highly touted young wingers, Leon Bailey. They're bringing in past stars, Coutinho for the last dance or whatever, and then Suarez, a top 3 player of his generation, arguably. It's pretty crazy what they're doing over there, and I can't imagine how fun that is, because for me the building phase, the phase right before being a top team, in a way that's the funnest time of being a fan. If you're not going to be winning everything under the sun, the funnest moment as a fan is in that project just beneath the top 4 sort of phase that Villa are in.
I think you're right. I think people are sleeping on everyone's focus is on Newcastle at the moment. When the danger, I suppose one way of putting it, the danger club to the top 4 is far more Aston Villa at the moment. Yes, they may not.
Even with all that, sorry to butt in, Grizz, but even with all the money in the world, Newcastle are still 3 or 4 transfer windows behind Villa.
For sure.
Like the difference in quality in the squads is night and day.
For sure. Dan W asks a very good question. What does everyone think of the Athletic article from today with the links to various attackers? Who would you prefer? We have a show for that lined up for you guys tomorrow. This was a pure spontaneous show that I felt we've got a few things to talk about, and decided to go live. But tomorrow we will try to combine the Arsenal preview with the chat around this. We may do a separate show for this. I don't know yet. That's how I roll. I just don't know. I literally don't know.
I asked Grizz earlier today, are you doing a stream? He was like, no. And then he goes, I'm doing a stream.
Grizz kind of just gauges the temperature of the timeline every 30 to 40 minutes and then sort of decides. And honestly,
chaos.
That's the best way to do it.
That's the best way. Listen, we don't need to promote and advertise our shows from 48 hours before. We know we got a loyal team of our subscribers behind us that are just amazing. so we can go live and still have a beautiful, amazing chat like we have tonight. And you're right, that's exactly what I do, Evan. And maybe tomorrow, who's playing tomorrow? Man United, Brentford. We may have some more interesting topics to talk about. We've got the Arsenal. Yeah, if United, exactly.
If United lose, it's going to be bigger. That the United fan base is as toxic as the Chelsea one, I feel.
It is.
So.
Oh yeah, but I would argue I think the United fan base pull in more of one direction than the Chelsea fan base do. I've never seen infighting like the Chelsea fan base. It's insane.
Aiden, you absolutely can, man. You absolutely can. Big up, guys. Can I shout out to my Tongan family after the Vulcan? You absolutely can, brother. Prayers, wishes, everything, man.
Everything.
Positive thoughts, everything, all of that business, man. To
Hope
the
everything
people
goes okay.
100%, man, 100%. But guys, man, we're gonna wrap this up right now. This has been a spontaneous episode of Carnage. Tomorrow we're going to do the preview to Arsenal. I'm yet to confirm if we're going to do an extended chat on all things transfer, but we may save that for the future award-winning tic tac.
Yeah, the tic tac at the end of the month. That's going to be the big one. That's
gonna be the big one. But listen, this is good for tonight. Unless there's anything else that you guys want to speak on, Holmes.
Someone asked, how do I get my mustache bigger than Grizz's? Let's do 200 likes and I'll tell you guys.
Yeah, let's.
Can I just, both of you? Can you just tell me how to grow facial hair?
Okay. Again, 200 likes, guys. I'll share the knowledge.
What we need to do is get you and Evan on a program of hair growth, like work together, like exchange numbers and WhatsApps and DMs and just work together, guys. Because look, there's team. It's all about team unity. You got to work together, man. Like help rub off on each other, hopefully, man. But listen, guys, we need to wrap this up. This has been Carnage. We're gonna see you tomorrow, and hopefully have another lovely, amazing chat. Peace out.
Yeah.